right, welcome back to Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. I'm that other dude, Andrew, and I'm joined as always by Heather.
Yeah. Hello.
And this is episode number 39. And today we are going to talk about a band called Great Rift, as well as Rick Massie and our final group, Breath.
Yes.
So three great bands, and this was your selection this week. I picked the tracks, you picked the groups.
Yep.
So we're going to kick things off. First, by the way, we can both talk about the t-shirts we're wearing. What do you got on?
All right. You probably can't see it that well, but it's here. There's like a barbell, a kettlebell. Can you see? Perform for life. And it's it's training and sports performance. And I'm not an athlete, but it's Tommy Hansen, and I'm not an athlete, but I've been having trouble with I've been having a lot of issues with my back. So I'm trying to get stronger and alleviate any back pain that I was having. So I've been working with Tommy for, gosh, I want to say like 3 months now. And he is phenomenal at what he does. So I feel so much better, and I'm basically almost pain-free now. And this has been like a year and a half long battle for me. So I'm just so excited.
Does he
So
have a
excited.
website?
He does have a website. You can find him on Instagram, and I know he's on Twitter, Tommy Hansen 88, and you'll be able to find. He posts a lot of videos, and especially on Instagram, posts a lot of videos of a lot of the athletes that he works with. He works with pitchers and all different kinds of athletes, just for better sports performance. So
If you're an athlete, if you're not an athlete, if you're just looking to get back into shape, check out Tommy Hansen 88 on Instagram or Twitter.
yeah.
And,
And he does online. He'll send you, like, if you don't live in Illinois, he'll send you stuff to do online. So
cool.
pretty
Definitely
awesome.
worth. And I'm wearing I don't know if you can, it's a post-it note. It says to-do list, chew bubblegum, and then kick ass. It's from the film They Live with Rowdy Roddy Piper. It's
Yeah, it's such an awesome film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he says that when he goes into the bank. I'm here to do two things: chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yeah.
So this was a
Yeah.
t-shirt I just had to own. And
How did you find that?
I think it was like one, on Facebook or something, sometimes they have suggested ads for you.
Yeah.
So because I'm me, I think they recognized that I would buy this t-shirt and they promoted it. So
That's very cool. I like it.
thank you. Yeah, this is a good one. All right, so Great Rift. The first
Yeah.
album is called Voodoo Woodland, which is a
Yeah.
single, I believe. And I suggested we kick things off with Into the Bright Line.
Yeah. And this is an EP, came out in 2017, and Great Rift is from Austria, which I thought was cool. I don't think we've talked about any bands from Austria yet.
No, this is our first Austrian band.
Yeah. So Into the Bright Line, on the bluesy side of stoner rock, really fuzzy guitars. It was really awesome when the second guitar kicked in. It's like you're in guitar heaven with nonstop killer riffs. And when the drums close out the song at the end, that's like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, I wrote that this is like a freight train of stoner blues into a melodic jam. And then I wrote Austrian, so I also noticed that they were Austrian. And then I wrote that it's just a straight up jam. Sometimes we listen to spacey, progressive, or psychedelic, but that is not what this is. There's no fat on this song. It's just straight up freight train stoner blues. So that was my impression.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the second track was Mountain Behind the Sun.
Yeah, and this is more heavy psych and also has that tinge of blues. The vocalist has a really nice voice, definitely has a distinctive singing style and a unique quality to his voice. I like how the song starts out softly and then it kicks in. I like how on their Bandcamp page they say the universe is their source of inspiration. Listening to this song brings me closer to understanding that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, I remember, I don't recall who my cousin had been talking about at the time, but years ago, we were listening to a very soulful singer sort of pour his heart out, and my cousin used the phrase mad tortured. That guy's mad tortured. So when I heard this song, that's the phrase I thought of. You know, it's a slow bluesy, it starts out as a slow bluesy jam, and then you've got this mad tortured song delivery, vocal style, which I really dug. It's very soothing, and then 2 minutes in, the bottom falls out, and it just becomes a mad tortured jam. But again, very straightforward. That's what I liked about this. It's a lot of the groups we listen to. It's sort of a long, winding road of like a stratosphere exploration, you know, where you're in space just floating. Whereas this, I feel like, is a straightforward shot. You know, we're just going to clonk you over the head with this straight up freight train bluesy jam. So I dug it. Um, and that was Voodoo Woodland, which was their first album, and then Vesta was the second album, and the first track was Atlas.
Yeah, and Vesta is their first full length, and that came out in 2018. Atlas, I love it when the vocals and the music go together note for note. That's how the chorus is, and it makes it really stand out. This song is very singable, quite infectious. The melody of the guitars is infectious too. Also, that this is about Atlas and Greek mythology is super cool.
So, uh, my brother, before he became a doctor, worked at a winery, and there was a small period of time where we thought that's what he was going to do. He was going to become a vintner, you know, and either open a winery or work at a winery. Um, and this is before I had ever gotten a tattoo. He was going to get Atlas holding up a wine barrel instead of the world, which I still think is one of the coolest ideas I've ever heard. Um, so that was when I saw Atlas as a song title, I was immediately drawn to it. Um, and then it has like a bulls on parade type of drumming in the beginning, which I really dug. And then it just becomes a stoner jam, uh, bluesy. And then the bass takes over, and you've got some really cool bass work. And I just wrote the phrase vocal prowess. And then the chorus I remember one time watching an interview with Dave Mustaine, and he had a guitar with him, and he talked about something called the spider chord, where he was just sort of sliding his hand up and down the fret, playing different chords, and it all like it was like a spider jumping, if that makes any sense. And then this time we actually get some progressive noodling on the guitar, as opposed to being a straight up stoner jam or straight up bluesy type thing. We do get some progressive elements, and I got another sense of this was Milton Berle just showing enough to win. You know, like that there was so much more that the guitarist and the other musicians could do, but they were just holding back, and it was just like I'm just gonna do enough to win. So I really dug Atlas. And then the next track was Siren of the Night.
Yeah, and this is slow and melodic, kind of like a ballad. I saw a comment on Bandcamp that said sad guitars, and I thought that was fitting. It's like a story in three acts. Act one, anticipation. Act two, realization. Act three, acceptance. The age of the witch has begun. You came to get me, now you have me. Siren of the night.
It's it's probably one of just personally me. I really love when you analyze lyrics or when you quote lyrics. That's like for the win for me. Like when you start doing that. Yeah, this Siren of the Night I wrote. It's very subtle, just a few somber notes. I had an almost imperceptible side head nod going that I caught myself doing. It was just a very little, and then more powerful vocals, and then the bottom drops out again, and you get this really mournful chord progression. And this one I wrote, it's mad tortured times too. So,
Yes.
and then there were some progressive time changes, which I thought were cool. And I wrote that this was my favorite song that we've listened to of theirs so far. So right now, Siren of the Night is in the number one slot. And then next up, we listen to the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. The opening riff reminded me of old school rock, or, I guess we would call it classic rock now that I'm old. And also, rest your head now, baby, and you can be yourself now, honey. That's old school. Classic. I like the heavy bass, and I saw on Bandcamp that they have a 2 record bundle. It's this record, and then the one we're going to talk about coming up, Utopia. They have these 2 records bundled together on Bandcamp. So I thought that was pretty cool. And there's only they said they're limited to, it was like a very small number, like 20. So there's not very many.
Can I interject and say you're not old? I feel like I want to put that out there right away. And like a fine wine, you get better with age. So
Oh, but
let's
you don't
just
know how old I am.
I
So,
don't. I don't. I can only make assumptions.
yes.
Um, so yeah, Grim Reaper, I wrote it just opens a can of jam right off the bat. Like how people say, I'll open a can of whoop ass. This is
Yeah.
like a can of jams, like guitar jams. Just open a can of jam. And then it becomes a progressive stoner jam. And then I wrote down lyrics. You came a long way, baby, to get to nowhere. I thought that was so profound. I was like, I feel like Heidegger or Kierkegaard may have said that in one of their writings. And then the same sort of chord progression as remember a couple of episodes ago, I played Black Sabbath, Beastmaker, and a few other bands and talked about the Lord, what I call the Lord of this world chord progression.
Yeah.
I felt like there was an element of that in this song, like the dan dan and then there's another time change. And this time there was a definite pronounced side head nod once the wah wah kicked in. I mean, I was like full on side head nod. And then that's going to do it for Vesta. And then next step, Utopia. And of course, I had to pick the song. I don't know if it's pronounced this way, but it looks like it should be pronounced Beetlejuice. So
and and this album came out this year.
okay,
So, yeah,
I mean
this
it may not be pronounced Beetlejuice, but it's Betelgeuse.
and I had to look it up. I had to look up the meaning. And I hope I'm right with this. It's a reddish, very bright star in the constellation Orion, a supergiant, one of the largest stars visible to the naked eye. I hope I'm right about
I
that.
mean, odds are that that's correct, and me pronouncing it Beetlejuice after the Michael Keaton film is probably wrong.
So what happens if you say it 3 times?
I don't know. I mean, I've already said it twice, so we'll find out what'll happen.
The song is a beautiful instrumental song. It has a really awesome mixture of heavy psych and heavy blues. Really lovely guitar work that does not overpower. It really showcases the brilliance of this band.
Yeah, this one was tonally different from the other songs. This one kind of sounded like it was being played underwater a little bit. I don't know how else to describe it. It reminded me a little bit of the same sort of tone that the band The Machine has. We listened to them a few episodes ago. They're from the Netherlands. Um, and yeah, just a dynamite riff. I've written down the phrase, let me open up my soul to you. I guess that's the feeling I got while listening to the song of someone being like, I'm just going to bare my soul to you right now. No lyrics, as you mentioned. Um, some more progressive psychedelic changes. I feel like they were leaving their comfort zone a little, which I admired. Not that this was discomfort, but like this wasn't freight train blues anymore. It was like they've entered the realm of psychedelia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then next up was Golden Skies.
Yeah, the vocals are absolutely phenomenal. This album seems more laid back and groovy to me, more subtle even. Definitely more of a psychedelic feel, especially with the effect on the vocals. And this song has its heavy parts too. It gets really heavy towards the end. It's a really unique sound.
Yeah, I wrote that this was back to more of a bluesy stoner jam, and then I wrote, "Oh, a side head nod might be my favorite song. Oh, geez, where do I sign up?" I actually wrote down, "Oh, geez, where do I sign up?" Like with Green Lung, when we
Yeah,
both said we wanted to go into the woodlands to be
yeah.
part of Woodland Rights. I was like, okay, Golden Skies. Where do I sign up to parachute the Golden Skies or whatever? So definitely another great pick. And then the final track was Utopia.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, this is where it all comes together. Again, the vocals are just incredible, and the groove on the guitars just carry you away. There's a lot of emotion in the vocal delivery. The song builds and builds and builds. You know, when you say you can't take your eyes off of someone? Well, I couldn't take my ears off of this. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I said that this was another mournful dirge. Like we're back into the sort of melancholy type feel to it, and I mean it's quite different, but it reminded me a little bit of System of a Down. Um, that those were my only 2 points about this particular song. But I mean, again, I really can't think of a band that we've listened to that I haven't enjoyed. Um, there certainly have been bands that I don't think I will be adding to my playlist as quickly, but Great Rift, I think, will definitely find a spot in the rotation because it's just great stuff, and it's different. It's like I said, a lot of the bands we listen to have more of a psychedelic or more of a progressive lean when it's the stoner. This one was more of the straight up blues and hard rock. So they've definitely carved out a little spot for themselves. And then next up, do you want to talk Rick Massey or Breath?
Um, I'll let you decide.
Okay, let's do Rick Massey.
Okay, let's
Okay,
see.
who you actually spoke to a few months back. The
Yeah,
the video is archived on the channel, so you
yeah,
can check that out. But
yeah,
this was Guided to an Imperfect Light.
yeah. And this came out in June. Rick Massey's from Whitehorse, Yukon. He's a solo artist, and I did speak to him in our Facebook group on a Facebook Live. He is a very sweet guy. We had a ton of technical difficulties, and I'm sure it was my fault because I didn't know what I was doing. So, I mean, I couldn't get anything to work properly, and he was just super patient with me, and we had a really nice talk. I really like that his music is inspired by nature. living in the Yukon, I would imagine it's incredibly inspirational. I also really like how positive Rick is, and his music tends to be about staying hopeful, even at times of great struggle. The record is a really interesting blend of progressive rock, doom, and black metal. I really like the song Need. It's more on the progressive side, and then also Lullaby, which really is a mix of all the musical elements. Really cool concept for a song. And he does the instruments, writing, and mixing all himself, which I think is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think I was initially scheduled to speak with him, and then I had a schedule conflict, so you were able to step in, which was great. And I enjoyed listening to your conversation. And yeah, I mean, I'm always impressed by musicians who are so hands-on, that write, perform, mix, edit, master. They do everything themselves. This one felt like listening to the album was an experience. Like this was something where you should really sit down and listen to the whole album, not just like one track. Because I felt like all the pieces fit together. It was really like an opera or a choral arrangement, in movements and sections. Really epic in scope, which I thought was cool. And a lot of different elements from, like you had mentioned, metal to pop music, just with regard to like the different instruments or the way songs fit together with their breakdowns. So this is another one of those albums where I think anyone can listen to it, no matter what sort of music you like to listen to. There's really something for everyone here, but I would definitely encourage you to check it out. It's really, really just, I mean, even considering that there are metal influences in there, it's relaxing. Like
Yeah,
I felt relaxed listening to it.
yeah,
So I think both of us would definitely recommend picking up Rick's entire collection.
yeah, definitely, definitely, yeah,
And then finally we have Breath from Portland,
yeah.
and the album is Primeval Transmissions.
And this came out February of 2021, and this is they're a bass and drum duo. Listen to this. Okay, 6/20/22. Earth Sol System, incoming signal, standby. Greetings to you, our intrepid crewmates. Grateful to be sailing the celestial sea with you. We're playing the No Stems, No Seeds Fest in Eugene, July 23rd, 9 p.m. at Slice Pizzeria. Come party with us if you're in the area. Frozen by a single blade of grass, blocking the sun, seek to feed bellows of fascination, nursing spark of impulse, wrecks of thought eaten by craggy rocks of aversion, the shores of creation, moving along towards the new album, an exciting re-release of Primeval Transmissions. Remixed, remastered, featuring new guitars coming soon. Wishing you a peaceful week ahead, fellow members of Breath. These are the kind of messages. This was a message that I received, and these are the kind of messages that they send out. And I just think that it is just so. It's just some of the most interesting messages that I ever received. They're just so unique. Their social media posts are like this too. Their band bio says that they're childhood friends. Their sound is a virtual landscape of sonic, down-tuned bass and pounding, earth-shaking rhythms, occasionally adding textures with Tibetan monk chants and samples of earthly sounds. Their performance is filled an atmosphere of spiritual waveforms shaped by Eastern practices and philosophies. I just find all of this so incredibly unique. It's so interesting to me. Their album was released on Desert Records. It's meditative doom, mostly bass and drums, with some vocals and lyrics that touch on nature, supernatural, prophets, astral light, dimensions, and space and time.
Yeah, I mean, I I wasn't going to go so much into what you just mentioned, so I'm glad that we're going to get sort of both sides of the same coin. But um, again, for me, I feel like they're able to tap into something with the music that they create. They're sort of tapping into like the universal frequency that's kind of hidden. Um, and the immediate comparison that I think a lot of people will want to make is to the band Ohm,
Yeah,
where it's kind of a similar Eastern influence with bass and drums. But I feel like Breath is unique. They're not simply finding a formula to follow. Like they're blazing their own path. Um, what's really great is like this. I feel like this is the equivalent of doing some like if you're like for me, I'm probably not going to do hallucinogens or anything like that or try to take a trip or anything. This is like the sonic equivalent of that. Like rather than taking mushrooms or ayahuasca or something, I can listen to Breath and feel like I'm going on a sonic journey that will make me just experience something that's worthwhile.
yeah,
So um if that's the sort of thing you're looking for, um, just this sort of meditative doom that's really cool, then definitely check out Primeval Transmissions.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and I can't wait what their re-release is. I can't wait to hear it. It's got to be so interesting.
yeah.
you know, yeah, they're just very very unique and I can't wait to to see what they do because it is just so incredibly interesting what they do.
Well, the three bands we listened to today pretty much cover, yeah, I mean, there's some overlap in terms of the genres, but for the most part, they're very different from each other. If you listen to Breath, Rick Massey, or Great Rift, you're gonna get something really dynamite in all three artists. Um, so I think again I would recommend picking up music from everyone.
Yeah,
Run, don't walk to get this music. And in this day and age, you don't even need to run. You can just go to your computer and order it. But
yeah, and I know Rick Massey has CDs that you can purchase. Um, there's albums. Great Rift has records you can purchase. I'm not sure about Breath. If there's cassettes, but I know it's you can purchase it digitally. And I did make a YouTube playlist, and I put all the bands on the playlist. So give them a listen, and you can hear what we're talking about.
yeah, if you can get in a time machine and go back to before you watch this episode and listen to the songs, and then you'll know what we're talking about. Um, but if you can't do that, then go back and listen to them now, and you'll still hear what we've been speaking about: the quality of the music, the compositions, just all that stuff that makes this really worthwhile.
Yeah,
So, well, I guess that's it for
yeah,
for
that's it.
episode 39. Can't believe we're on episode 40,
I
but
know it's going to be a year coming up here pretty soon.
I know.
Yeah,
Geez, where does the time go? Well,
yeah,
go check out these bands. And Heather, it's always a pleasure doing this program with you. So, looking forward to next week. And
yeah,
for all of you out there who are watching, have a good one.
yes.